Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
Well, we have lots of authors on the program, which I absolutely love. Some of my favorite interviews over the years have been with authors because I enjoy reading so much. Don't get to read as much as I like to, perhaps, and that's because I'm always on the air, it seems. But I do enjoy getting the chance to meet the people behind the beautiful words and stories that really shape the world. And this book today is a little bit different from where we usually come from, but I'm loving that so much because this book has pictures. And who doesn't love a good picture book? It's called Business Raccoon. It's by Andy Gutman, and I'm so grateful to have you on today. I just wish for the sake of this interview that people could see the fabulous pictures, but we'll just have to lead them where to find it. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks so much for having me on, Laura.
A great idea. Business Raccoon. So obviously more of a child's theme here going on, but I think any good book, whether it's for kids, as we all learned from Dr. Seuss back in the day, if it's for kids, it's going to be good for adults as well. And we can always stand to learn some new lessons. So Business Raccoon, how did this come about, this theme? Why did you want to appeal to kids on the level of perhaps learning a little bit about business and this character?
Yeah, so, it's an interesting story of how it came about. I actually wrote this book. It's now my 11th book that I've put out, and it's one I wrote many years ago. All of my books start as songs, and this one came about. My daughter was young and in her crib, and I always used to sing her songs, which I should never do because I'm just a terrible singer. But I would make up songs as we were sitting there and try to get her to go to sleep. And there was a raccoon in our yard that used to frequent our front yard and our trash cans. And so I started singing about the raccoon. And over the course of a few nights, that became the Business Raccoon, and more of a story about the business world through the eyes of a raccoon. So it came about over time. And as I was, not long ago, I started having some health issues. And I was hospitalized, and I wrote a book that I almost put out. It was called Grateful, and it was about being appreciative of life and the things around you. And I realized, of all my kids' book, this was the heaviest theme I had ever written. And I said, I want kids to enjoy. I want them to have fun, learn a lesson or two while they're doing it. But I scrapped that book right before it went live and pulled Business Raccoon from the dusty shelves of when I wrote it and said, I think this will be more lighthearted and fun for kids the way it really should be. They shouldn't have to deal with such deep thoughts so early in life.
Oh, well, and I hope when you said you scrapped it, you didn't throw it out or anything like that, because I'm sure there's a place for sure with our kids to learn about the art of gratitude and really being grateful. So hopefully you kept that somewhere, Andy. But Business Raccoon, I think I personally think is lovely for kids because it does teach certain values and certain types of behavior and such. But again, with a theme that they can relate to with this little animal, cute drawings. Who is your illustrator?
So I've got an illustrator from halfway around the world. He likes to remain anonymous because he does a lot of graphic work for a lot of authors. And so that's the one thing he doesn't allow me to do, but he's done all 11 of my books. And when I first started doing this, I wanted, colorful themes, powerful graphics, and really wanted it to pop and be different from what's on the shelves today. So I interviewed over 50 illustrators, and this was the best. And he and I have stuck together through a lot of years now. Amazing artist. He brings what I want to life.
He is. It's just great, whimsical, and I love the color scheme. So bright, just jumps right out at you. Now, your Business Raccoon is wearing a suit and tie. Are you hoping that kids get the idea that they too might be able to go into business one day, and what would allow them to accomplish such a thing. Tell me what's behind Business Raccoon as opposed to, say, Superman raccoon or any other type of raccoon. Why Business Raccoon?
Well, he's definitely the equivalent of Superman for the business world, as he can do anything. So, Business Raccoon to me, it's an introduction to the business world. But it's also, I love introducing that because when kids are taught about different careers they could go into when they're really young, it's, actor, fire person, police person, it's never the business world. And they get introduced to that later in life. And so I thought it might be fun for them to be introduced, realize that, business is not all boring. It's exciting. And the other theme to it that I really like is the self-confidence that is part of Business Raccoon. He can accomplish anything he puts his mind to. He does taxes. He takes college-level classes. He's capable of anything, and yet he's still the same old raccoon that you would see out by your trash can every night trying to pick up a meal.
Yes, wearing a suit, no less. Okay, it's great, and I like the fact that you've chosen a theme that isn't so out of touch for kids, like they might never be able to become a Superman or something, but they can certainly, see this as a role model to an extent, Business Raccoon. Now, again, you said that you started the book as a song to your daughter when she was a baby, but you like to incorporate songs into your written word books. And so how do you do that?
Yeah, I think that, music and words go together so nicely, and they help create the imagery for kids. They can, use that for their imagination, but also, to really connect the book together. The song itself goes word for word with the book. So you can sing it to yourself, and what I find is it's a very catchy tune, and kids really like it, and it really keeps them humming along or singing along to it, and stays with them. It stays in their mind, and the lyrics stick with them more when there's a song that goes with it, I find.
I think so, too. I mean, I still remember songs that my mom would sing to us as little kids. And boy, you would think that I'd be too old to remember back that far, but I actually do, because there's something about when words are put with music that it stores into the memory, and it's great. So this is a wonderful book for kids. Now, tell us some of your other books and the themes that are behind them.
Yeah, so a couple others. I wrote a book called Be Kind, which really is about kindness and spreading that throughout the world. That's one of my personal favorites that I wrote. And it just it teaches kindness. And to me, that's a great lesson for kids. I've done 3 books with schools and nonprofits, and brought forward some young authors that did the book. So I did my first day of kindergarten, which I worked with a school and I worked with a class of 5th graders that wrote to help teach incoming kindergartners what they can expect on their first day based on their experiences. And I really like working with kids as authors. So now their resume one day, when they do resumes, will include child author, because they actually wrote and produced books. It was pretty amazing.
I think that is wonderful. I used to love to write books when I was little and then present them to my parents as gifts. And it was just the whole process and premise was just always so fun and enlightening and exciting. And they encouraged me to keep going. And, whether or not they were any good, I have no idea. But I just know that it was an inspiration to be able to put words to paper and then draw the pictures and see them come to life. I think it's an incredible idea for kids. And so Business Raccoon now, is there any chance that your books end up becoming, could they become a character on some cartoon series or something?
Well, that's the ultimate hope, is that we can bring them to life one day, whether it's a movie, a cartoon series, a live show. My hope is that one day I'll do that, and it just takes a little more time to figure that all out. But I think some of these characters, if we could put them all together in a stage show or something that really brings more energy to children and their families, that's something that I hope for in the future.
Absolutely. Let me talk about the process a little bit when you write a children's book. Is it something that you self-publish, or do you have to go the route of the old days where you would just send out manuscripts left and right and hope somebody would say yes to it?
Yeah, so I started out my first couple of books I did with a publisher. And unfortunately, I ran into, you learn as you go with any industry you're in. Everything is learned. And the one lesson I learned from that, the publisher went out of business. And unfortunately, my books were trapped. So I couldn't get to them. I had to rewrite every single one of them that I started with. Now I use Amazon Kindle Press, and I put them all out whenever I'm ready to, and they do a great job with that. And it really has allowed me to put out at a pace that I like. I'm a big fan of music, and you hear about musicians that, they're the company that they work for will tell them you can only put out one a year because you'll oversaturate the market with your work. And I like to put my work out. I want everybody to enjoy it, and put it out while I'm thinking of it.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful idea. I wrote a children's book, I think probably some 25 years ago now, and have yet to do anything with it. But you give me hope. But the world has changed so much in the publishing world since I wrote that. I might, even consider doing it, because I think it's just easier now. And it's also, it gives you a sense of, not having to have a million copies sold before anybody even hears about it. Having the internet and Amazon and things like that it just make the process, I would imagine, so much more doable. But I would like to say just a couple of the lines of the song. Do you have them memorized, or do you need me to read them to you from Business Raccoon?
I'd love to hear them read. That's great.
Yeah, so this is an example of how he incorporates this rhyming, which you can call a song, within the book itself of Business Raccoon. It's business raccoon, smartest creature on the sun, earth, and moon. Business raccoon makes all the guys jealous and the ladies swoon. And he is a handsome little devil here, this business raccoon. I just love the illustrations. Andy Gutman, you have a great sense of humor and a great heart also for kids and inspiring just good things in the world. So I think it's beautiful that you did that. Again, people can find Business Raccoon anywhere where books are sold, anywhere on Amazon.
Yes, Amazon is the main place. It's, Amazon itself. And then you can find it in bookstores almost everywhere, or you can go to my website, which is gutcheckbooks.com, GUTCHECK books.com.
I love it. Gut Check Books. That's by Andy Gutman, Gutman, Andy Gutman, Business Raccoon. Well, you're a good businessman and a great writer, and I thank you so much. It's so nice to see just lovely things go out for kids to get them on a good path in life. Thank you, Andy Gutman.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's an honor.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Well, my goodness, now that some of these playoffs are over, we have a World Cup that's happening. I think about all these situations where there's literally hundreds of thousands of people gathered all over the world and everything. And how is it that various places and states and organizations can keep their people safe? There's a lot going on in terms of technology and how that happens these days. And we have someone here to talk all about it. Jim Wolfinbarger. He is a retired 7th Chief of the Colorado State Patrol, where he's spearheaded everything in terms of preparedness and large scale situations. But now he is currently the Vice President of Real-Time Intelligence at Motorola Solutions, which is going to be very interesting to hear about what these solutions are in terms of drones and all sorts of other technology. Thank you so much for joining us, Jim, today.
Laura, much appreciated. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, I always wonder, right now, especially more than ever in the world, you just feel like, if I go to a huge concert, if I go to a FIFA, a World Cup game, am I going to be safe there? And what kind of technology is used? besides police presence and stuff, there's got to be other things that are going on. If you could let us know what's happening in the world of safety and preparedness, I would love to hear it.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and you're right. So whether you're at a soccer match or you're at a football game, these are large scale events, all of them, and they're not new to state and local government. But really any jurisdiction, almost irrespective of size, has special events all the time. Whether it's a county fair, could be a Saturday night football game. There's a number of events that happen, again, regardless of jurisdictional size. But certainly when you think kind of around those mega events, these pre-planned events, oftentimes within that, every aspect of this comes up with traditional partnership where agencies sit down together, they conduct, large scale tabletop exercises, they develop an operational plan. They usually can use one from past events, and it works really well. And a lot of that is rooted in traditional technology like radio communications, many of which, fortunately, are through Motorola. Motorola Solutions is a national leader in the space of 911 call handling. So, making sure all your systems are in place and that the plans are drawn up and that you've got effective means by which to share either video or floor plans with, enterprise and industry, whether it's retail or it might be mass transportation. Those are all elements of traditional, operational planning. But this 21st century, and particularly this last 10 years, even frankly 5, have really changed the way that a lot of agencies need to continue to think and expand the horizon around capabilities connected to emerging threats and trends.
Yes. And so, for example, like drones, I see drones sometimes and I'm going, is that a good drone or a bad drone? Is that something that's protecting me, or is that something that's spying on me and has more nefarious intent? Like, as just a regular layperson, I wouldn't know the difference.
It's such a salient point that a lot of us have thought. Now, I tell you, me personally, I love drones, and I think a lot of your audience probably is in the same boat. Probably yourself. They're fun. They've become extremely affordable. They're, played around with them with my kids. And so recreationally, there's a tremendous amount of use, and certainly commercially, we see a lot of very legitimate applications of drones in a commercial space. Like maybe they're, inspecting bridges for cracks or superstructures like cranes, maybe real estate that really lend value. But, especially in the area where maybe temporary airspace restrictions have been placed, and that might be around maybe a stadium when an event is going on, or it could be over a golf course during certain large events. Those would be established by the FAA and become restricted airspaces. Now, there's always places that are going to be permanent airspace restrictions. Think airports, think prisons, think, other critical infrastructure like water treatment and water sanitation. I mean, there's a lot of areas that do have permanent airspace control. And in order, as we've seen this incredible proliferation of drone technology, comes a lot more flights. And with that, people who unknowingly, generally, I believe, but in the few cases where people intentionally penetrate restricted airspace, you need to have that technology foundation not only to detect, but to understand where that operator is operating that aircraft from.
Right. And apparently, according to the information, there's more than 2,000 unauthorized drone flights over stadiums at any given time. So again, I'm assuming that Motorola has figured out some way to detect this and also to keep people safe. You're working with SkySafe. Tell us about SkySafe.
Would love to. Now, there's two aspects of drones. First being this around airspace intelligence or airspace security. We've identified a partner, and we've really come into this great relationship where we see the fullness of Motorola Solutions ecosystem that meets with the innovation of this technology company out of San Diego, California called SkySafe that provides the capability for agencies to be able to monitor extremely accurately not only what's in the sky, where they're at, but where that operator is in space. That becomes incredibly important because of what I mentioned earlier. the ability then for first responders at a state and local level to go identify that operator if they're operating in a unauthorized in a restricted airspace. Tremendous technology. The other side to that drone capability is drone as a first responder. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but I'd love to talk to you about it.
I'm not at all.
So some of your audience may have heard, and if not, you will hear of drone as a first responder. You might hear it as DFR. And with that, what it means is that public safety agencies, state and local, maybe county sheriff, municipal PD, they can use drones as a first response mechanism from a 911 call. Say they get a report of a train derailment or a major crash on an interstate through a city. Maybe it's a armed robbery that's just in the process of occurring. They can send these drones out over the top of that from a charging pod, maybe several of them around the city, get there within seconds, beating first responders, putting eyes on the scene, and sending that video intelligence back into the 911 center and command center to allow them to put eyes on the scene and inform first responders so that when they hit the ground, they have much superior intelligence to make better, more informed decisions that generate superior outcomes. It's a very important aspect. Now, there's a second aspect to DFR that I find fascinating, and it's this area around leveraging a DFR. Now, what we have done at Motorola is we developed a partnership with a company named Brink, BRINC. They're based out of Seattle, Washington. It's an American company with American-built drones. And not only can they deploy and put the eyes on the scene, but what they can do too, through one of their drones that's called the Responder, they can fly out to, say, an individual who has become maybe swam out too far and can't get back to shore. They're in trouble. People on the shore can tell they're in trouble. They're splashing around. They can send a drone over that individual and drop an inflatable life preserver to allow them to stay afloat while rescue personnel meet them. I love that. Mm-hmm. Other examples might be somebody in anaphylactic shock, maybe that needs an EpiPen. You might have walked across somebody that is in a drug overdose, and maybe, it might be Narcan that may be delivered to them. And then finally, as a last example, say you're out on a hike in a remote area. You've got cell phone coverage, or maybe you use satellite phone to send your location to 911, and they can send out maybe even something like an electronic defibrillator for a friend or a partner that has experienced cardiac arrest and save a life, leveraging these great tools. I find that incredibly exciting.
Oh my gosh, it's gives me chills. It's just absolutely incredible. And what I'm hearing here is that it takes about 70 seconds, the average time, like you said, but for a drone to respond to the scene of a 911 call, that's a game changer. That is a huge game changer. And so many lives, I would imagine, are going to be saved as a result of this. It's good news. For once, some good news.
Yeah.
So yes, even though there's all these wrong drones that are in the sky, this has the potential, I think, to change the world in such a positive way. So, Jim, where can we get some more information on all of this so that the world can really start to respond and also get involved?
Well, thanks, Laura. Anybody's welcome to visit MotorolaSolutions.com to avail yourself of all this great technology, whether a private enterprise or government. And if you're interested really in this large event types of solutions that we've been talking about, go ahead and feel free to search within the website. Large Event Security can help them find more detailed information about what we could bring to bear to assist agencies and businesses across the country.
Well, he's the Vice President of Real-Time Intelligence at Motorola Solutions. Jim Wolfinbarger, thank you so very much for all you are doing. It's truly humbling. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to The Way Home this week and to my wonderful guests. And may you all have a wonderful week that is safe, that's happy, healthy, and full of lots of miracles as well. I'm Laura Smith. See you next time from The Way Home.
Podcasts by Federated Media.